try to make it kind of informal, but at the same time, since it is a hearing, I have to record it. So before I punch record, though, I'll just kind of give you, I have a little bit of an outline that I would read just to give the date and different things like that. And basically, this is just to give you an opportunity to tell what happened. And then I'll ask you some questions just to kind of clarify. I have reviewed some of the documents, looked at some video, listened to the 911 recording, so I kind of have some of the background, but I still need y'all to kind of go over what we...
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press record here. Today is Monday, October 8th. The time is 1 p.m. My name is Barrett Pollard. I'm the Director of Human Resources Staffing for Belton ISD. I'm here today with Crystal Oliver and James Russell. The reason for today's meeting is to conduct a Level 1 grievance hearing. Belton ISD received a Level 1 public complaint from James Russell and Crystal Oliver on Tuesday, October 2nd, 2012. Before we begin, I'd like to explain that I will hear the complaints that you raised in your written complaint. Complaints regarding matters that occurred more than 15 days ago will not be heard since the filing deadline has passed for those complaints. We'll follow the procedures outlined in the GF local policy. No witnesses will be called and cross-examination will not occur during our conference today. However, I may ask questions as needed to clarify your complaint. The purpose of our conference is to hear your complaint, and you'll have the opportunity to do the following things: fully explain the complaint, present any relevant documents, state your thoughts, and state your remedy or what you'd like to see happen. And do you have any questions? Okay, so basically now you can present your complaint.
My Crystal start.
Okay.
It pretty much started off with the bus driver.
Okay.
And that was the main issue. And I had taken it to Vicky Tubbs the following day that it had happened because he spoke rudely to my daughter, and I didn't appreciate it. So I went up there, and she said she would talk to him. And the following Tuesday, because my daughter didn't attend school that Monday because they had a doctor's appointment, he had gotten off that bus that morning and started yelling and pointing his finger at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had contacted, after that I had tried to get hold of Jackie Fields. She never returned my call within like a week, and then I finally went to Mr. Atmar, and that's when everything started to happen.
Okay. And James, did you want to add anything?
No, that's about where I came in at
Okay.
when she was trying to get hold and talk to Mr. Atmeyer about it.
Okay. Well, the complaint that I have a copy of from what you guys submitted, it states that Director Jackie Fields filing false report to 911 Sheriff's Department, false report contained personal attacks, Jackie's false statements, and 911 call led to police on scene and police assault and misconduct. You met with Dr. Trejo and had a kind of a conference with her on the matter on September 27th. As a remedy, Jackie Fields needs to be relieved of her job duties. If this cannot be achieved, then Jackie must be sent to jail for breaking the law. So this is a little bit different than what you kind of explained here. Do you have more of an issue with, I understood that it all got started with the bus driver incident.
And Jackie Fields
That was just the backstory. That's where it started.
That's where it started.
A simple issue over bus routing issues.
And it was a bus stop too, right? Where you wanted the bus stop.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's where it was
until
they decided to change it to some man's driveway.
Okay.
So, and that's what, I mean, it was over ridiculous where the stop was, a ridiculous argument of where that was, which led up to the incident with this and that. And because she said the bus driver was rude, I got involved. My father and I, she asked us to walk up there. I filmed it just in case he was rude again. Had no issues with him. He was just fine. That's the video that you have probably seen or hopefully watched all of. And that's what I have the issue with, is Jackie.
Okay.
Because everything she states in 911 is false. And
okay. I've watched your video once, and I've listened to the 911 call once, so I've heard the dialogue, I guess, some total of twice. I'm going to watch it again, listen to it again, interview some more, I guess the three that were in that vehicle, as well as the bus driver, to get a better idea of what, kind of their side of it. So, let me ask y'all some questions, and that might help y'all kind of expand on when did you first, I guess for Crystal, when did you first contact Ms. Fields about the bus stop issue. So the first issue wasn't the driver so much, it was where the bus stop was stopping.
It was both. I was
Both.
standing on the corner. I had called a transportation to make sure where the bus stop was, and they told me it's on the corner. I was like, okay. I stood on the corner, and he started to stop way away from it, and then trying to continue to get hold of him and say, okay, where is the bus stop? Because this is where he's stopping, this is where I'm standing, and my kids have to walk further than what y'all told me. And then that's when it started to get into an issue because I would make my kids stand there instead of walking further away from me. And the bus driver did not like the fact that he pulled up, and that's whenever he started to get angry with me. Because I made him pull up.
Right. So, James, had you ever met with Miss Fields in person? Did you know what she looked like or anything of that nature?
I knew of her because of my father and her have a past together.
Okay.
They used to work together, and she was cruel to him. She was his superior.
Oh, did he work here?
Yes,
Okay.
years ago.
Okay.
And she knew him, and in the video he says, oh, I know you ladies, and that's when she starts to call, and she knows him, and she knows us, and they have a very negative past together. He's tried to be nice to her all of our lives, and she's been nothing but rude, but they've known each other for almost all of their lives, and she knew exactly who he was.
Let me ask you this, James. Any time did you stand in front of the school bus?
No.
Never stood in front.
No, because I was standing at the corner where the bus stop was supposed to be, and when the bus was stopped, we walked over in front of it because the bus driver waved us. My dad was going to the door because the door was open, and he was talking to the bus driver, going to talk to him and asked, where's the stop supposed to be? The bus driver waved us around to his window. So we walked in front of the bus, and that's...
They were never studying.
Yeah, we never stopped the bus. The bus was stopped, and we walked around it, around the front of it, to his window, and in the video you can very well see that. We walked to the back. There's Miss Fields already behind the bus, stopped, within 2 feet behind it, and she's laying her horn on 12 to 13 times. She's already the one that's showing an aggressive attitude. We're just filming the situation at hand in case there was another problem, which there was. And then she called and made a false report. She thinks I'm taking pictures. Well, I'm not. I'm videotaping it because I know she's lying. Inside the vehicle, you can see all three of them smiling and smirking at each other. She turns. She even a couple of times says, that's pretty much the verbiage. Correct, ladies? Trying to get them to get in on it. I don't know how many times she says, well, he's out here throwing fingers, he's doing this, throwing fingers, cussing. No, sir. No, sir. I'm standing out there filming this thing just like this, talking to my father that she knows while she's smirking and lying on the phone with 911. That's what the issue is. She made a false report. I didn't press charges that day, but I can and I will, and that's what I'm trying to resolve internally. That's what my problem is, because everything she said that day was a lie. She even made derogatory comments in reference to Miss Oliver here when she said, yeah, she's a tall, lanky female. Lanky is a derogatory term that you use to describe someone that you don't like, just like fat. It's no different than fat. It is a rude term to use when describing anyone, and she knows that. And Miss Fields doesn't need to be describing anyone rudely in a position that she's in. She's representing Belton ISD in your vehicle at that, and then she's making lies on the phone with the Sheriff's Department and 911.
Had you and your father been out there to the bus stop in a day or two before that?
No. That was my first time I had ever been there.
Yeah, because I asked him to videotape it just in case the bus driver wanted to get out and start yelling at me again.
Were you there with them, or were you kind of in the background? Where were you at?
I had got my kids off the bus, and I went ahead and walked, because I didn't know who that was. We didn't know it was BISD behind them honking the horn until we had stepped to the side. But I went ahead and took my kids home, and they were with their father. And then I walked back up there to see if everything was okay and whatnot, and that's whenever she started talking about me leaving my children unattended and stuff.
Yeah, making insinuations, trying to start another fight or another argument for us because she doesn't like Crystal here because Crystal's already called several times and not been able to get a resolution to this problem. And she knows who Crystal is because of my father, and all of this just refers down to who we are, who she is and who we are. And now she called her lanky. She made insinuations saying, well, yeah, now it looks as though she may have left them unattended, her children unattended. It's trying to instigate. And that's what she's doing. How old is this woman? She needs to grow up. But I'm not going to let her get away with it. That's what this is supposed to be for. I had a meeting with Dr. Trejo, and she told me to file the grievance. And I filed the grievance so we could do this, in a process. But that's what, it's just the resolution is that she needs to be relieved of her duties because she's representing y'all, and I don't think y'all want that on a blemish like that on your complexion. It all comes down to where it's a personal issue with her versus us. She cannot stand my father because of their past, and she knows it. She smiles, she smirks all through that video. She's extremely rude, and when she's doing it, she's very crass. She comes across as just a crass individual, and you can see her in the video when you watch it. She smiles and she smirks, and she turns to the passengers, and they smirk and smile at each other. They know that they're full of it. They are lying. That's why they don't really say anything, because they know she's lying. They're not agreeing with her. They're just staying quiet and trying to stay out of it in the back and just for the moment, because she's trying to turn around and get them involved in something that she's making up. It's a tall tale on Jackie's behalf.
James, it's kind of I need to ask you some questions here, and just to kind of get your side of the story on it. You mentioned the throwing of the fingers that she kept mentioning. So at any time, this is very important, at any time did you use profanity or make any vulgar gestures?
No. I said, I will take you to court. I said, we'll take you to court if we have to. And then she started to, phone. And she even threatens on 911. We'll call the BISD attorney. Well, that's not her personal attorney to use like that. And she's using that just like she continues to tell our personal story, our personal issue with BISD. She tells all the background to 911, to the operator, because she's lying. And it's none of their business what's going on outside of that direct moment at all. She is trying to push her fabrication of events onto people. And I'm not going to let her get away with it, period. I did not swear at her. I didn't threaten her in any way. I'm filming the entire thing as was, holding the camera while my dad walks around. And if anything, I'm yelling at my dad, if anything, yelling out loud, talking to him, Dad, come over here, because my dad's part deaf.
Yeah, he can't hear.
Yeah, I mean, at all.
If the three ladies are in the vehicle, did y'all take issue with them calling 911? I'm trying to kind of put myself in their shoes. If they've got two men coming around the corner and...
She honked at us and waved for us to come to that car. And her door was unlocked the entire time. Her window was down, and then she turned and smiled. She only rolled her window up when I started yelling out what vehicle she's in, because she didn't know what she was in when she was going ahead and telling what she was in.
Why did you continue to video it?
Because I knew, because I used to work for 911, and I work in the law and very well and closely related with the law. And I know what goes on, and I know the only way to be able to protect yourself from false accusations and liars such as Ms. Fields is to videotape and record it all. And that's what I did. So I record what I need to record because I knew what she was doing, and I knew she was going to lie, and I knew who she was. Just like she can lie and say she doesn't know who we are, but she knows. So that's why I videotaped it, because I have that right, and because that's the only thing I have to show that I didn't do what she says I was doing. Or my father.
Going off kind of the verbiage you used in the grievance, during the 911 call, what specifically was stated that you would classify as a personal attack? Was it the lanky comment? Was that what y'all referred to when you said it?
Yes, that's a personal attack. If you look that word up, it's derogatory. Lanky is not. She's tall and thin. She's not tall and lanky. Lanky is a derogatory term, like you use to describe someone that's fat. You're fat. That's exactly what that means.
So those two, lanky and left kids unattended, that was what...
Yeah, and that's just her. Because leaving the kids unattended could cause more legal issues or any issues at all for Ms. Oliver here, or anyone in the household for that matter. And that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to instigate another issue that wasn't even there. She didn't have any knowledge of it. She just threw that out there off her own free will, trying to start another problem while she was on the phone with 911 throwing her lies out there. Well, I might as well say this. Yeah, that's what she did.
During the 911 call, you said you classified something as a false statement in the grievance. What were the false statements?
We didn't threaten her. We didn't throw fingers. She says, God knows how many times, throwing fingers. Yeah, and then she even says, okay, what are the men doing now? They're just down here, they're down here throwing fingers. And you can see her turn towards the inside of the car, throwing fingers. We're standing there talking to each other. She says it the entire time. First of all, no one throws fingers. I don't swear. If anything, I say the D word, and I can't even think of really anything else. I mean, I say the A word, but that's it. I don't swear. I'm around my nieces. I'm professional, and I take care of my business. I am in the legal field, and I do a lot of legal work, and period, and I know that's why I videotape. And I'm not going to act a fool when I videotape, and she didn't know I was videotaping. She assumed I was taking pictures of the entire incident, And I wasn't. I was videotaping because I know that that's all I have to be able to prove my innocence. And to show her that her complete disregard for the truth and the way she portrays it. She is the face of Belton ISD. I went to Belton, and I had no problem. And I tell people all the time, Belton taught, and I've realized that Belton taught me a lot more than I thought they taught, because I realized I see other people, I do, and I'm honest, I see other people out here on the street, at my age, and I'm like, you didn't learn this. You didn't learn this, and she's representing Belton ISD, something that I used to not, I mean, I've always talked fondly of, and that's not who I see representing you. It's just not.
In the grievance form, you wrote that the 911 call left the police on the scene, which in turn resulted in police assault. Can you give me more details?
Not really, because that was taken out. That's with an attorney right now. But a police officer came out of his vehicle because of what she was saying on the phone, led them to believe that, and you can hear it and go through, I have the chronology, and that she slowly builds it up as to where we are out there harassing her, surrounding her vehicle, and and all this, and we're not. And so the cops are they show up, sheriff's deputies show up on scene, and they think that there's something major going on here. I am standing with the camera, and this police officer gets out of his vehicle and charges at me, grabs the camera, which is illegal. He can't do that. He can't do that. She caused that. He grabs at the camera. He forces at me. I was already in a yard. I stumbled 4 to 5 feet back into a ditch, part of a driveway area, a culvert area, and the rest of that is with an attorney right now. But she caused a lot of problems.
Okay. Well, you may not be able to go into any more detail on that, James, but I was just wondering, did the police officer say something to you beforehand? Did that?
He just jumped out of the vehicle. No, he jumped out of his vehicle and charged me. Yeah.
In the remedy section, you request that Ms. Fields be relieved of duty. So specifically, on what grounds would that decision be based? What would you, if you had to reiterate or something?
Well, okay, is Ms. Fields or anyone that lies, that uses company vehicle and company property while representing the company, making false statements to 911, that uses 911 as a scare tactic to try to get her way or push over on people that she's known in her past that she didn't like, anyone that you would want representing you? It's either she can be demoted, she can be relieved, or she can be arrested. I was trying not to cause a big scene and have her arrested, but I mean, I'm not going to press charges if something can be done internally. That's just how I am, because I'm also a mediator. I don't want to, I do the court thing all the time for people, and I can't stand it. I don't like going to court and arguing with. I don't like doing this. I just want to work it out, So that's it. But if you can come up with, it's a bargaining thing, I guess. I mean, it's not really, for lack of a better term, but if there's other resolutions that can come about, then I'm more than willing to, listen to them.
Well, James is kind of like an outsider looking in. When I first saw the video, to kind of play the devil's advocate here, the thing that I would be, where I might be if I was one of those 3 ladies in the vehicle, where I might have called 911 would just be because if I didn't know the 2 men approaching. Especially if one had to, do you think the camera made them feel uncomfortable? Do you think that's what may have prompted it? Well,
a camera is going to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Take, for example, I don't know if you've heard or not in the news, but there's a man that walks around New York and films police officers doing, bad things, wrong things, breaking the law, and they are uncomfortable with it, and they came after him for it, and he won because, well, it's unconstitutional to come after someone for that. So Ms. Fields was intimidated by a camera. Anyone is going to be intimidated by a camera if they're lying or afraid they're doing something wrong or this or that, and that's exactly what that's what she represents in the video. She thinks I'm taking pictures, she says numerous times, but I'm filming it because of her expressions, her facial expressions, as she's making her lies up, and that's all. She's intimidated or worried about, oh, there could be evidence, and that's what I feel.
So, because it's an actual camera, isn't it, but you had it on the video.
Yes.
So that's why you, okay. What about the other 2 ladies? Like, I guess what I'm getting at, James, is that the only point I would make is that even if you weren't doing anything wrong, the video might have made them feel, a little bit uncomfortable if they didn't know you. As far as, like, getting to a solution without, just working out internally, that's what we'd like to do, too. Of course, I don't have any sort of authority with the, where you put in the, as far as, like, the jail sentencing, that's something that, you'd have to do, with your, like you mentioned, with your lawyer. But
and another thing on the record, no one knows anything about this except you and Ms. Trejo. It stayed completely here because I want it resolved here.
You've mentioned, you know, if not a termination per se, but just maybe speaking with Ms. Fields, would that be enough to remedy the situation if we went and spoke to her about it and talked about how to handle things better in the future? Would that be enough to rectify the situation? Or?
You know, okay, I will say, I don't want anyone to, you know, of course, I don't want anyone that does, I don't know outside of this situation what her work demeanor is like. I don't know if she does her job, you know, with excellence. I don't know, you know, anything about her like that, you know. But I don't feel that just being talked to, I mean, I feel that it should be documented. It should be something documented on paper that she was spoken to, you know, I don't know, a reprimand or a write-up, I don't know what it is. I feel something needs to be documented that this happened, this occurred, and that she was talked to about it, if that's what comes of it. That way, that's all there is. Documentation, she was spoken to, this or that. Or we can have the bus stop moved from a half a mile up the road down to a center area on this. And and that's another thing, I don't have any maps. I gave a bunch of maps to Ms. Trejo. The block that we're talking about is the biggest block in the neighborhood, and the bus pulls up, like, I'm sorry for a crude example here. He comes around here, he stops at 4 or 5, I think there's 4 or 5 stops in the entire neighborhood. He stops at an intersection. He stops at, here's an intersection. This road is our loop here. It goes all the way down here, and it wraps back up. He stops here, and then he pulls up here to this man's driveway, versus to here.
All the way to the other intersection.
And it's not just my nieces. It's not just my nieces, and it's not, okay, we don't know this man, but there's other kids in his driveway, and it's not even really that it's in his driveway. Well, who is this man? But it's where it's at, how much further is it going to get, because we don't have any visual of the bus stop whatsoever. Yes, she is always up there with them, or someone's always with them, but if we could even have the bus stop move instead of from being, okay, he stops at this intersection here, and then this is his last stop, is this driveway 20 feet down the road. Is it possible, instead of this was the original bus stop, why can't he just make a loop and come down here to the center of this street? Because there's 2 or 3 kids that get off from this far corner over here, and then we're over here, and they all walk from this one stop. And I'm also thinking of the other people on the other side of the street, you know, further down. If the bus could just make a loop and stop here, and then come back up.
I know that there's rules about the bus stops and how many feet that a child has to walk, and as long as you're within a certain range, it's okay. But I think the reason why those 3 ladies went out there was to look at that's originally why they were going out there.
Yes.
I don't know if it was Mr. Atmore that y'all spoke with, or someone mentioned that they were concerned about there's some place somewhere where there's a gully or low spot, and that might have been why they were hesitating.
That's where the driveway is.
Okay. It's
well, and honestly, every intersection out there, yeah, there's very deep ditches out there. There are with big rocks, and it's on every corner pretty much out there. It's just
so where she's getting off right now, y'all would like to have it moved. You would like to have it to where she gets picked up at a different spot, a little bit further down. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and see, I want it to be clear because I don't want to seem like we're being, because I am, and I try to make this very clear to Ms. Trejo, I'm unbiased. I'm okay with Jackie being talked to versus being this or that. I'm open to any resolution all around. I want to be clear that it's not, we want specific, move this or that.
Right.
It'd be nice versus, and it's not just our 2 children. There's 2 or 3 children over here that are walking. It's even further for them to walk from this stop versus where ours are walking from. 2 different stops, 20 feet apart. If they could just make a loop and stop in the center of Benchmark down at the end and come back up, and he'd originally it's within, I'm talking, it wouldn't even take 35 seconds to make that loop and be back up here where the original stop was.
And it's on a low spot.
No. Actually, that's probably the best part of the street.
That's probably the best part because there's more driveways and everything's pretty much level on that area compared to the other area.
Yeah, because the one thing I've heard about the actual bus stop was that they were hesitant at one point to move it somewhere, and it might not even be the same place I was talking about because they thought it was a lower spot to where when it rained, water would gather and the kids might be standing in like a puddle.
Oh, it's pretty bad over there. Whenever it does rain, where they're standing at now, the driveway's just like right next to it. Because that's those people's yard, and it gets really
bad. And the other end of the street, it all slopes downhill. It has a good grade, and at the end of the street, it levels all out down at the other end of Benchmark. There's not really any big ditches. As a matter of fact, there's not even a ditch on the corner. There's some, she has giant rocks in her yard blocking it so people don't go in her yard because it's, but in the center of all of that is more level. And that's all. And it's for the other kids, it's for, my nieces, it's for people, it's just, it's more convenient, it's safer for the children, and it's some kind of compromise. It's all we want is a compromise. That's all it started with, was a bus stop compromise.
That was your original request.
Yeah.
So, basically what you're saying, to kind of summarize and wrap things up, I really didn't have any other questions for you guys. Even at the least, if we did considered moving the bus stop to an area, that would rectify the situation? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
I would be okay with that.
Yeah, because that's my only problem now, because the bus driver that was harassing my kids is now.
Well, he's gone. Yeah, no, I mean, and the new bus driver is very nice.
The new bus driver is really nice.
Yeah, no, very nice. And that she can be, written up verbally, whatever it is, some kind of documentation. And I'm going to be really nice, or the bus stop just moved down to one more block down to the center street for, 4 or 5 kids that need to walk that far.
Okay. Because there's several girls that...
Oh, there's quite a few. My daughter, she has problems with her feet.
She actually is going to have surgery here pretty soon.
She's having surgery next month because it's hard for her to actually walk that far. So,
but I'm not sure if she's a mother, how many kids she's a mother of, but there's a lady down on the corner of Benchmark here where we're talking about meeting halfway. She has 3 kids that she walks with every day. I don't know if they're all hers or what, but there's 3 or 4, and I know one walks part way and kind of goes away, but they're all further down this street versus stopping up here where everyone's walking down there anyway.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude the meeting? Okay. Well, I will investigate the complaint, provide a written response within 10 business days following this conference.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank y'all.
Well, thank you, Mr. Pollard.
And I've stopped that there. And I really do think that I could have probably somebody like maybe Ms. Tubbs as the assistant director. That I'm sure they wouldn't have a problem with trying to find a high point to where, especially if it would make it more convenient, it's within that area. I wouldn't think they'd have a problem with that.
Okay.
We'll have to get that done.
And and if you're questioning or you feel like looking at stuff later, I don't know. I'm sure you're busy, but there are maps somewhere. I submitted 2 or 3 maps with stuff marked on them to Ms. Trejo.
I got your video. I got Ms. Trejo's notes, and Mr. Atmar gave him something. But
the harassment form.
Yes. And that was on the bus. That's kind of a new point.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're close to having it kind of, I hope that we can get it.
I think we can. I think we can. I have hopes for it.
And I hate that happened. It was just kind of just bad circumstance.
Yeah. So. Things do happen. Things happen, but you have to be able to take it and move on from it and learn, hopefully learn from it. But
yeah. No, I think we can get it rectified. So I'll get back to you within 10 days and get you hopefully before then too.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
All right,
awesome.
Guys.
Thank you very much.
James, I appreciate it.
Thank
Crystal,
you.
thank you. Yes. Y'all have a good day.